Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Christabelle Spiritualist Church here in Cherry Valley, Illinois. I am Mark Dorsett. I am the student pastor here at the Christabelle Church. And as you can see, my wife Deb has been quite busy helping to make this a little more beautiful for our sermons. So first, thank you, Deb, but also, Happy Flag Day. I hope that everyone is doing well on this beautiful Sunday morning, and that you are ready to enjoy some time with Spirit. We will begin with our invocation, and then followed by the reading of the 9 principles, and then we shall go into my sermon, which is titled, How Do You Measure Success? So, if you would please, bow your virtual heads, and let us pray. Infinite Spirit, we ask that our spiritual eyes be opened so that we may see the many shining stars before us. We ask that our spiritual ears be opened so that we may hear our spirit family and friends. We ask that our minds be open to understanding. We ask that wisdom be given to guide us on the path of peace and justice. Amen. And now for the reading of our Declaration of Principles. We believe in infinite intelligence. We believe that the phenomena of nature, both physical and spiritual, are the expression of infinite intelligence. We affirm that a correct understanding of such expression and living in accordance therewith constitute true religion. We affirm that the existence and personal identity of the individual continue after the change called death. We affirm that communication with the so-called dead is a fact, scientifically proven by the phenomena of spiritualism. We believe that the highest morality is contained in the Golden Rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We affirm the moral responsibility of individuals and that we make our own happiness or unhappiness as we obey or disobey nature's physical and spiritual laws. We affirm that the doorway to reformation is never closed against any soul here or hereafter. We affirm that the precepts of prophecy and healing are divine attributes proven through mediumship. He was not stylish or rich or great, owned neither mine nor real estate, but he simply toiled from day to day, faithful, honest, and brave always. Never too tired or poor to give his best that some other man might live. His earth work finished, an angel came and softly whispered the old man's name, and led him to mansions of beauty rare, upbuilt by his love and faith and prayer. And each good deed that in earth life shone was marked above by a shining stone. Okay, so the poem I just read to you is titled The Builder. Now, by now, I'm sure that all of you are quite used to me infusing poetry into my sermons. But how could I not use such an appropriate poem for our sermon today, especially when it is written by somebody who was from Chicago? I mean, gotta use the local girl, you know. The poem you just heard was written by Callie Bonnie Marble, and I think it perfectly fits in with the theme for today. I am curious, how many of you, if you had only heard the first half of that poem, how many of you would consider this man to be a success? He was not stylish or rich or great, owned neither mine nor real estate, but he simply toiled from day to day, faithful, honest, and brave always, never too tired or poor to give his best that some other man might live. I'm betting that most of us would not necessarily consider him to be a success because he did not achieve material success while physically here. He simply put himself to work building up others so that they may not only live, but that they could thrive and survive. More than just survive, but they could thrive. Merriam-Webster defines success as being a favorable or desired outcome. Also, the attainment of wealth, favor, and eminence. Is it just me, or does that sound a lot more like what we're used to hearing when we talk about people being successful? How many of you see somebody out there in the world who's financially very successful, who is quite wealthy, and you think, wow, they've got it made. I really wish that I was wealthy as they are, or that I had it like they do. And I know that a lot of us just wish that we could be wealthy enough to just stare off into space while pumping gas. But if we trade our self-respect for that financial gain, a lot of us will find that we're not nearly as successful at being happy when we do that. Unfortunately, quite often, the people who often have the most money, who often are the most financially successful, and I'm not talking about in every case, but if you look through history, and even indeed, if you look at where we are currently in the world, most of the people who are these multi-billionaires, they have gotten to that point at the expense of other people. And so it's not necessarily by being the most kind, productive person that they do this. It's by being a good business person, which may not necessarily go hand in hand with being a very good person in general. Switching gears for just a second, going back to our poem, the attainment of wealth, favor, or eminence. I mean, it's such a fancy word, right? Who wouldn't want to achieve eminence? It just sounds just like something regal, like something very important and such a big deal. I just have suspenders that I should be doing this too. And, I know that everybody would like to be recognized for their good deeds. I mean, don't we? I mean, we're only human after all. I think we all kind of want to have a little bit of acknowledgement that we're on the right track or that what we're doing is resonating in a positive way. However, I have come to realize that John Henry Newman was onto something when he wrote the words, "Virtue is its own reward." Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love to hear that what I have done has made a positive difference for people in the world. And I really do, because also it helps me to know that I'm reaching people in a positive way. But I've also come to realize that if my only intention for doing something for someone else is material gain, or if my only intention to do for others is so that I can have that sense of eminence, sooner or later, invariably the laws of cause and effect, compensation, and retribution, otherwise known as what some people would think of as being karma, it's going to find its way back to me. So why would that be, you ask? Why, if I'm doing these great works, yet my intention isn't exactly pure, why would that come back to me? Because my intentions are not in line with my words, thoughts, and actions. Now, for more on the law of cause and effect, I do highly recommend my sermon that is titled, "The Bill Comes Due." And I know that I joke around a lot about, hey, you should check out this other sermon that I've already done. And the reason I do that, not only am I trying to help you to hopefully discover some new aspect or some new part of spiritualism, also what I'm looking to do is to help you to understand that all of my sermons are really meant to dovetail in together. They are meant to be pieces of a bigger puzzle that are meant to help give you a more complete picture of guidance, a more complete picture of how to help you to be. And I know I say this all the time, but it really is one of my favorite phrases. How to help you be a better, stronger, happier person, both in this life and the next. So the point that I've been trying to make here is that there are several measures for success beyond just what our society has set out for us. If you think about it, we are constantly being told how to be, or that we should be, younger, prettier, richer, whatever the latest metric for success happens to be, but it always seems to be built upon some sort of a material foundation, whether it be appearance, whether it be monetary wealth, whether it be how eminent you are and how many people you have that follow you and hang on every word. There's also some sort of a flimsy foundation underneath that. And, I do understand. We do live in a material world, and we have all been taught to be material girls. Thank you, Madonna. But there is more to being successful than what we have been taught by society. Do you remember the poem I spoke about at the beginning? Let me refresh your memory for just a moment. He was not stylish or rich or great, owned neither mine nor real estate, but simply toiled from day to day, faithful, honest, and brave always, never too tired or poor to give his best that some other man might live. His earthwork finished, an angel came and softly whispered the old man's name, and led him to mansions of beauty rare, upbuilt by his love and faith and prayer. Each good deed that in earth life shone was marked above by a shining stone. And I love that last half of that poem. The builder in our poem was striving to live his life to the betterment of everyone. Now, having talked about that first half, let's address that second half a little more, because this is where the work the builder put in this lifetime really shows just how much of a success he truly was. His earthwork finished, an angel came and softly whispered the old man's name, and led him to mansions of beauty rare, upbuilt by his love and faith and prayer. And each good deed that in earth life shone was marked above by a shining stone. Isn't this last part exactly what we have been taught by the science, philosophy, and religion of spiritualism? You know what? To quote Marcus Aurelius, how did he word it? What we do in life echoes in eternity. One more time. What we do in life echoes in eternity. And that is so true. It really is. The thoughts, words, and actions that we engage in while we are here will help us to build a better hereafter for ourselves. And even in this lifetime, please remember and understand that we are so much more than how much money we make or how famous we are. But this is especially true after we shuffle off our mortal coil and return to Summerland. And I know I keep promising that one of these days I will get around to a sermon about Summerland. And I promise, stay tuned. It will probably be about another month before I can do it. But by then, hopefully, I'll see all of you here in person. So stay tuned for that one. But just know, Summerland, home, heaven, the other side, whatever term you want to use for it, it is beautiful. It is beyond anything that any of us who have experienced it firsthand and then have been able to come back and relay what it's like. It is beyond anything that any of us can truly explain. Just know it's beautiful and it's amazing and it's fantastic and it's filled with infinite love and compassion and joy and happiness and peace, and that your loved ones and your animal companions and everybody's there waiting for you when your time comes. But anyway, what I really want to what I really would like to stress with that last section is to understand that, like I said, as Marcus Aurelius had quoted, what we do in life echoes in eternity. Essentially what that means is intention is everything in this life and the next. The more we strive to be that better, stronger, happier person, the more easily things will come our way, but the more easy this life will go. Now remember, like attracts like. So if you are striving to be a loving, compassionate person, you will attract more of that into your life, provided that is your true intention. Okay, I hear a few of you out there. I know, I can hear the grumbles already. Okay, so, I know, I hear a few of you grumbling out there how you've been a good person, and you have had people take advantage of you, and your life just hasn't worked out the way that you wanted to. And there's all these different arguments that you can give me for why you try and why you try to be a good person. And I do have a few replies there for you to help you understand what could be happening. Now, there's going to be a few reasons, and I know it won't necessarily be popular to hear, but please do not shut off my recording yet. Hang in there. Listen to what I have to say. Be water. Stay detached. Kind of listen objectively. I know these things may not be things you're thrilled to hear, but I'm here to help you. Believe it or not, that is my goal, is to use these sermons to help empower you as a platform to help you be the best person that you can be, and that you can be, and that you can be, and the best person that you can be. So please, hang in there for a minute. First off, it's entirely possible that you are telling yourself that your intentions are pure, but you may want to step back and take another look objectively at what your motivations are for your words, thoughts, and actions. Sometimes our true intentions don't exactly line up with what we are telling ourselves we are trying to accomplish. And I know that is something nobody wants to hear, but a lot of times if we look at something and we look at how it fell apart partway through, or it just never took off the ground the way we would have liked, it's entirely possible. One of the reasons is because we thought we were doing it for one thing, but when we start to look back at our intentions, it's like, oh, yeah, I was more worried about, the fame and the fortune and not necessarily doing something worthwhile. And so it does happen. Second, what you need to do is really focus on looking at whether or not what you're looking to accomplish in this lifetime is really in line with nature's laws. Is what you're trying to do or what you're trying to make happen somehow an attempt at circumventing natural law? Now, this will also cause you not to have the success you desire. And if you aren't very familiar with natural law or with nature's laws, I will be covering that one again. So, stay tuned, same bat time, same bat channel. I will make sure within probably about the next 3 weeks, I will end up covering nature's laws and much more in depth to help give you an understanding of what they are and how you can live within them to help you be the happiest and most productive person you can be. So you also, in addition to what I've already spoken about, you kind of have to consider the fact that your goal may not necessarily be in line with the life path that you have chosen for yourself here on earth. Now, this is a bit of a complicated subject, and I know, but just to kind of give you a little bit of an overview of it, in my personal experience and in the experience of a lot of other mediums that I have talked to, I'm not going to say outline, I'm not going to say blueprint, I'm going to say outline our lives. We all outline our lives before we come down here, and we do so for the purposes of healing, for the purposes of growth, for the purposes of helping us to become a better version of ourselves. And so when we outline our lives, we decide that there are certain things that we're going to cover, certain aspects that we want to tackle, certain things that we want to grow from. And if what you're trying to do in your life path does not line up with your life and what you've already outlined for yourself, what you're going to find is that everything is going to start to fall apart the instant you head in that direction. Now, I know all of you have heard me talk about just what a huge believer I am in free will. I truly believe we can all make decisions that can dramatically affect our lives. Or for some of us, that we can dramatically screw up our lives. But I'm good at that. But that's also where, even though we all have that free will, we have that free will within the framework of what we've chosen to accomplish in this lifetime. And that's one of the jobs of our guides, is to kind of help us keep us on our life path. So if you suddenly decide that, metaphorically, you're going to go right, and your life path is really meant to go left, nothing's going to work out. And you're not going to be very successful at whatever it is that you're choosing. And that most of us talk material when we're saying about success, but even if it's something emotional or something spiritual, if it's not a direction you're really meant to go in, you're going to find that your life kind of falls apart or kind of shuts down during that time. Which kind of brings me into, how are you treating yourself? Are you remembering that you're also an important part of the equation? Don't forget, sometimes we may think that by letting a person get away with things, or by, doing things for other people that we may not feel is necessarily right for us, we're just being a good person, we're trying to help them out. If it's something that is not allowing you to be true to you, that is the exact opposite of my recipe for a happiness cake. It is the recipe for unhappiness, unfulfillment, and disappointment. Above all, be true to you. The world will adjust. It really will. So when you start doing things for others, try and do so with the intention that you're just there to help. But by the same token, remember that, while living a life of service is admirable, and it is wonderful and very fulfilling, it is not the same as living a life of servitude. When you are living a life of service, that means that you still have those boundaries in place to help you to maintain that sense of self, or to maintain that sense of what is right for you. And I will never forget, when I was a baby medium, I will never forget the words of Archangel Michael, who told me that I was giving too much of myself without maintaining my appropriate boundaries, and that it is impossible to fill another's cup if your own is empty. And that really stuck with me. It honestly did, because, in other words, he's telling me, you're important too. Remember that fact. Remember that even though you see yourself as just being the weakest link in the chain of life, or in this chain of, in my case, it was, I was talking about mediumship and being able to connect with loved ones in spirit, connect with higher guidance to help guide all of you. I saw myself as being the weakest link in that chain. And honestly, I still kind of do. But what he was reminding me of was that without me, there would be no chain. And that's where you have to remember, think about the people around you, think about the situations in your life. Even if you're feeling kind of worthless at the moment, take a look around. Without you, there's a giant gaping emptiness in a lot of lives. And that goes back to my Be Water sermon, where be objective, step back, interview yourself, and take a look. As much as you might not want to hear it sometimes, you're all important. And we all are important to somebody out there, even if we don't feel like it. So, okay, getting off my soapbox, get back on my sermon. Remember that if you aren't having the measure of success here on earth that you would like to, you have the ability to meditate and check in with your guides. Ask them to help keep you motivated towards your goals, or if you feel like you're not really making any progress, meditate on whether or not that is an appropriate goal for you. Sometimes we might be trying to reach that certain thing, and our guides are trying to go, no, that's not good for you. So you kind of have to think about it that way too. That sometimes we kind of have to meditate on what's actually appropriate for us. So remember to ask for help, whether it be from infinite intelligence, whether it be from all of that higher guidance that we have at our disposal. And remember, we do have an amazing hierarchy of higher guidance at our disposal. Or whether it be your own loved ones who care about you and just want to help. So they can help you to have a more appropriate measure of success in whatever area you seek. But more than anything, in conclusion, please try and remember and try and have this deeper understanding of what it means to truly be successful, and that there is more to success than just material gain, and that by being the best person you can be, and by focusing on helping others and yourself with a positive intention, you will have great success, both in this lifetime and the next. And I absolutely love that phrase. What we do in this life echoes in eternity. And I think that is so true. And so if you, I really want to say this right now. I really appreciate each and every one of you who is watching this sermon at home or wherever you happen to be watching me right now virtually. On behalf of the Christabelle Spiritualist Church here in Cherry Valley, Illinois, we appreciate you and we want you to be successful. And so I personally, of course, I would like to hope that a part of that success is watching our sermons and helping us to understand what you need from us. Feel free to reach out to the church. You know, you can call us, you can check us out on Facebook, you can check our YouTube channel where we have all of our sermons. We have our own website. Get in touch with us. We also have a group on Facebook that's devoted to spiritualism. So if you want to learn more, feel free to, hit us up for some questions. And also, please, as you can see, we are in the chapel. We have this great old chapel with 3.5 beautiful acres of wooded ground that we do need to take care of. So if anything that any of these virtual sermons has given you, has resonated with you, has been something that you really appreciated or has helped you out, please consider adding to our virtual offering plate. It will be linked below the sermon. And so if you could see your way to help us to keep the lights on, keep the grounds clean, to keep things ready, it would be very much appreciated. And for those of you who are local to Cherry Valley, Illinois, please feel free to come out. I mean, the grounds are beautiful. They're very spiritual. Come check out the Vortex at the south end of the property. And you can come and walk around. And we are in the process of getting ready to put in some walking paths and to really bring the church back to what it really should be, what it deserves to be. A place of worship, a place of joy, a place of healing, and a place for people to be comfortable and happy and spend some time. So feel free, even while the church isn't in session, so to speak, to come and just check out the grounds. And we look forward to seeing you here, either virtually or in person, hopefully soon. So again, I am student pastor Mark Dorsett, and I am wishing each and every one of you out there a wonderful day and indeed a wonderful week filled with promise and opportunity. And we will see you next week for our Father's Day sermon. And again, same bad time, same bad channel. Thank you.